Hello, this is Brett Knowles from PM Squared Consulting. This short overview shows how we simplify the chaos of multiple objectives in organizations. So what is the problem? The issue is this, that we may have an OKR, let's call it OKR1, that requires a couple of OKRs to support it. In other words, in order to achieve OKR1, we have to achieve both OKR2 and OKR3. Makes sense. And then if we achieve OKR1, that allows us to go and then complete OKR4. So there's a parent-child or lead-lag relationship between these objectives. Now, this seems simple, but the reality of organizations is it's a mess. We have OKRs that have similar names but are actually different. We have OKRs that have different names are actually the same. We've got overlapping ones, undefined parents and children, and so forth. Now, it takes a while to sort out this stuff, but there's a couple of tricks we can do to expedite the journey. So basically, that chaos I described fits into one of three categories, what we call overlaps, underlaps, and punts. So overlaps are when two or more teams create the same objective, even though it might have different words or different accountabilities. So in the case of overlaps, we obviously have to undo that. Underlaps is where we expect a team to contribute to a corporate goal or strategic objective, and they don't. Underlap. And then the third is punts. Punts are where a department's asked you to contribute to something, and you may not have it on your current list of objectives. So it's a fairly simple process to go through this. We should be able to use the strategic goal, the top level objective from your strategy map, and ask yourself, do we have more? And if we listed the objectives that are linked to that strategic goal, do we have two or more that cover the same concept? If yes, then we'll go to the solving the overlap problem. If no, they're not covering the same thing, did we expect a particular area to have a linkage and we don't see it? In which case we go to solving underlaps. So let's take the first step and take a look at solving overlaps. So to solve overlaps, we basically ask us the same question, right? Are they the same objective but with different wording? If they are, in other words, you got the same thing. They both talk about entering this new market but use different words. We have to consolidate. We either need to consolidate them together and create a new common OKR, and then we'll probably need to resort out who is the accountable party. Remember, we can only have one person accountable. Currently, if you have two similar objectives, we may have two people who are accountable. And I'll explain to you at the end of this show how you can easily sort out who is the A. In other cases, we may decide to make them as a sub-objective. In other words, create a new parent of which those two objectives are part of. That's easier because we just create the new parent, decide who has the A, and then make the two other objectives their child. Now let's talk about underlaps. Underlaps are also fairly easy to deal with. That is, if we have a strategic goal and we expect to see a department contributing to it, and we don't see their contributing objective, we merely need to go to that area and get them to complete what is their objective and do the appropriate RACI to make sure it gets done. So now the last thing I promised to touch on is how do we make that accountability work, and in particular the A. So if we've got two or three people who are candidates, do the following test. These are just four simple questions. One, which of the two candidates has the knowledge? And that's the knowledge of the processes or understanding of the processes, as well as the projects that are linked, and perhaps what are the driving customer needs, be they internal or external, and also what are the possible solution approaches. So that's thing one. Do they have the knowledge? Thing two, can they manage the resources? So they may have access to the people and the tools and the financing necessary, and or can they allocate those on behalf of other people? So they need to have resource control. Third, competencies. Do they have the leaderships and management skills required? And that typically includes things like how do you deal with ambiguity, how do you deal with conflict, how do you lead by influence since the team members don't necessarily report to you? And then third, do they have the trust of the organization? Now, this sometimes comes with rank, but sometimes it comes from having successfully brought similar projects to conclusion. And if you use these 4 simple tests, you can often sort out who's the best candidate to have BA. So hopefully this was useful to you, and continue listening to other videos about how we can help sort out organization and OKRs with pragmatic tools.